Shout out, shout out. The Connects. Luis Guzman. Don't ever go, never leave my side. Passion's all I have, courage is my drive. And if I lost you, I would lose it all together.
Yes.
I wouldn't have composure to get it back together.
Yes. Welcome to another episode of I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman podcast, where we highlight the journey of entrepreneurs and business people alike to showcase that every light and dark moment creates a beautiful piece of art. And this is episode 011, the 11th episode. I am your host, Luis Guzman. I got two great guys in the building, great businessmen, great dudes all around. I've been following their story for a little bit now. They actually got connected with me through someone else that I had on the pod, and I'm excited to have them on the show today. And I'm talking about Patrick Dougherty and Mike Fein with LFG Auto Lease Finance Group. Welcome to the show, fellas.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, man. We appreciate it, man. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good.
Excited?
Feeling good.
Another long day at the office?
Long day at the office.
Yeah, man. Excited to be here. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, man. Well, I mean, you guys seen some of my episodes, so you know how we rock with this. I always start with the same question. We got two people here, so I ask two questions. I'll start with you. Who is Mike Fein?
There it
You wanna
is.
start with who's Patrick Dougherty?
We'll get to him later.
we rehearsed it in the car. Who's Patrick Dougherty?
Talk to me, Mike.
All right. That's a great question. So I guess Mike Fein is just somebody who
No, it's hard to think about it when they put you on the spot, right?
Definitely a hard question.
Right? You want me to start with Patrick?
Let's start with Patrick.
Let's start with Patrick.
I'm good. I don't know. Basically, I'm a person who, identify obstacles and find a way around them. That's basically been my entire life, and it's just what I do in everyday business, every day of everything, everyday person.
Resourcefulness.
That's
Big
it.
thing. All right. I
Resourcefulness.
got you. How about you, Pat?
Man, it's a loaded question. I'm just a guy that's gonna find a way. You drop me on an island, I'm gonna burn the boats, and we're gonna find a way to take it over. Everything I've ever done, I found a way to do it, and generally do it well. By working hard, and I've had really good teachers. That's the biggest thing in my life. I had really good teachers, good role models, and as a result, I've become a person who who's reliable today. I'm a father.
God bless.
I'm a son, and at the end of the day, I'm just trying to do the best I can with everything that I've been given. From God, from my family,
Amen.
and most importantly, from the people that I surround myself with.
Awesome, man. I could tell. I mean, I see it. Like when you guys walked in, again, we were talking about energy earlier, right? There's just a certain level of energy that somebody exudes when you see them walk in the room, and you just know these guys are serious, or these guys are good people, or you guys just, you know what you want and you get after it, right? So you guys both just talked about being resourceful in some way, shape, or form. Is that something that was embedded in both of you guys since an early age? Like what kind of role models? Was it your parents? Was it somebody in the early stage of your life that built that into you unconsciously? That's for anyone that wants to answer.
Yeah, of course. I mean, personally, I mean, my mom always taught me. My mom and dad always taught me to work for what I wanted. I didn't grow up in a wealthy family, and I always worked. I worked from the day I was 14 to
Nice.
Step up to the mic, my friend.
To support my Jordan habit at that time. You know what I mean?
Same
Like
here. Yeah.
that's just basically how it started.
What was your first job?
I worked in an assisted living as a dishwasher.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Half a mile from my house. I walked there every day after school.
At 14, man.
14.
And how about you, Pat? What was your first job?
I mean, my very first job, my mom used to put me to work. I know it's I was actually thinking about this leading up to, because I've heard a few of your pods, and I was like, man, those are some really good thought-provoking questions. I don't really think about that stuff a lot, like what made me, right? And, I played baseball and sports my whole life, and I played Little League, right? And I was thinking about, like really where the hustle came from. My mother used to pay for the league fee, and we used to get these raffle tickets. And every time, if you sell the raffles, you get the money back. You know, so
Yes.
she'd be like, here, you better go sell these raffles, you know, and I used to go, you know, knocking on doors and through the whole neighborhood year after year. I used to knock on every single door. So I sold my 100 raffle tickets every single year.
Wow.
You know, and
So
that was one of the things, you know, we used to do that. We used to sell candy bars, you know, I used to be a member of the boys club. They used to have candy bar sales. We used to sell the candy bars. And that's really where it started. You know, my mother used to ingrain in me, like, if you want to play ball, you got to sell these tickets. And I had to go around the neighborhood and sell tickets.
And it's beautiful you say. I mean, at such a young age, a pseudo entrepreneur, right? Selling baseball raffles, tickets, you know, whatever, candy. But it gave you a sense of purpose, one. And I went through the same thing too. But my biggest takeaway with that is you're built in already at a young age to know how to hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you learn resourcefulness through that. So how do you pay that forward to people in your life now? You know, with the way you've, you know, been, you know, you brought up with, you know, having that will to just always grind and hustle. How do you pay that forward today to the people in your lives?
I mean, I personally, like, you know, in it's been a long road, you know, to get where we're at now, you know, with LFG, and to be surrounded by good guys. And, you know, I just try and pay it forward the best way I can. You know, I've, like I said, I've had some really good teachers, and, you know, that came in the form of, you know, besides my parents, you know, my brothers, my sister, you know, little league coaches, basketball coaches, you know, and you don't realize that when it's going on. You know, I used to just show up to practice, and I used to just do what they told me to do, you know, when I felt like doing it. You know, thank God I was blessed with some talent. You know, I played ball, basketball, baseball. I swam. You know, I had a full scholarship to college to play baseball. And so what my point is like, you know, my talent took me places a lot of times that my character wasn't able to keep me at, you know? And so what I know now later on is, like, as long as I continue to work, you know, and that hard work meets that talent, you know, then beautiful things continue to happen.
That's where success happens.
Yep.
Right. And it's also preparation, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
if you're not, all the talent in the world can get you to a certain place, like you said, but if you're not prepared to accept it and you don't have the discipline to mold it, you're back at square one.
That's it.
Right. So it goes back to, you know, the two jobs you guys had growing up that cultivated something in you. Like, I don't want to wash dishes for the rest of my life. I don't want to sell candy for the rest of my life. So it just puts something in you to want more in life. You know what I mean? And you went to go play baseball. What school did you go to?
Iona College.
Iona College. And you had full ride?
Yeah, full ride.
And what happened?
So I played, I pitched, you know, I partied, you know, we had a good time.
Yeah,
Met some
absolutely.
really great guys, you know, some good dudes. And, you know, the reality was, you know, like you said, you know, your talent could take you so far, you know, and there was guys there that worked really hard. And then, you know, at some point, like, my talent could only get me to that level, you know, and I would pitch, and then I wouldn't work out, you know, or I wouldn't work out as much as some of the other guys were working out. Or
Gotcha.
you know, I was more concerned with having a good time and partying and doing things like that. And, you know, one thing leads to the next. I ended up getting hurt, you know, so, you know, I was throwing in the low 90s, you know, pitching against
Throwing
some
gas.
big time schools,
Yeah.
you know, and trips to Florida, in the area around here. And then at some point, you know, the body catches up to you. You know, you can only do so much for so long and not take care of your body, you know.
Understood.
And, you know, at some point, you know, I hit a wall and tore my labrum in my shoulder, and, you know, that was pretty much it.
Was there like after you couldn't do baseball anymore, you stepped away from it, was there like a state of depression or something that kind of got you down? Was it hard to get back up?
Yeah, you know, like that was a weird time in my life. You know, for so long I woke up every day and did something, whether it was go to basketball practice, and then at some point it was baseball, right? And that was my identity, you know. And then, like, when I couldn't play ball, and not only just couldn't play ball, but then I couldn't play ball at the same level, right? Like, I was still able to throw, but I couldn't throw like 90 anymore. I could throw
Gotcha.
80 now.
Gotcha.
Because I had a broken wing.
Right.
You know, and so when you're at some place that you think you're at, you know, but then you're no longer there, but mentally I'm still there, right? Like, you can't tell me I can't, but then it just doesn't work like that anymore. You know what I mean?
Frustrating.
Yeah, it's like getting old.
Yeah,
like
no.
how I feel
Yeah,
now.
seriously.
You know, I go out on the court and play basketball with these dudes, and that's tough for me to do right these days because I'm just not as fast as I think I am. You know, and so I lost my identity for a little while. You know, and it was tough. I had to try and, you know, I didn't know what was going on, dude. It was time to find a job, you know. I didn't
Reality.
know Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself.
Right.
I didn't have a plan. I was
How old
going
were
to the
you
big
at this
leagues.
time? How old were you?
21 years old.
Oh, 20
Like I was going to play for the Mets, bro. That
right.
was, you know,
that was your dream. Yeah.
Yeah, I pitched in Shea Stadium. You know, I tried
Wow.
out for the Mets. You know, I had all these things. I went to these tryouts. I had scouts at my games, and one day that wasn't the case anymore. You know, and so you wake up one day and you're like, what do I do now? You know, and it's like, well, I don't know what I want to do for a living. You know, I didn't pay attention in school. I got good grades. I was smart enough to either get good grades or figure out how to get good grades.
Right. But
And
baseball was your identity.
Yeah, it was everything.
Yeah. So getting out of that, like the rude awakening of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It must have been something difficult to get through.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to bring that same question to you, Mike.
Sure.
Did you have something similar that what happened to Patrick, where you had a fall from grace for something that didn't work for you before you got into the car business, so to speak?
My entire life, I mean, I was always into sports. From a little kid, I always played sports. My dad always coached my teams. He was a big influence in, you know, my work ethic and work hard and always be the best and be competitive.
Absolutely.
You know, but basically for me, I mean, I played. I chose working instead of playing sports. You know, I played baseball in high school for not very long. I played football in high school for a year, and then my mom told me, she said, you know, if you want to make money, then you better get a job. And that's
all our moms said.
But that was more important to me than my friends. You know, my friends playing football and baseball and basketball, and you know, I always played sports. I always played in the rec leagues and stuff like that.
Right.
After that, while I was working, but you know, working to me and work ethic was always a big thing in my
Is
house.
it like survival too? Like, did you feel you had to survive by having a job?
No,
helping?
I'm not at all. I mean, I was very well taken care of. My family, you know, I wanted for nothing.
Gotcha.
But I always wanted more.
Gotcha.
That
man.
was always it.
Gotcha.
You know, my mom and dad always taught me that. You know,
Well,
my
they
parents-
instilled that greatness in you, because that's the work ethic that got you to where you're at today.
Of course.
Especially with, you know, the LFG. So,
That's
and we're
it.
gonna get into that too. But I'm just so excited to learn about the past with you guys before we get into the greatness that you are today. So, working hard, Mike, Pat, finished baseball. Now you're in the real world. What's next?
I had to find, you know, what I was going to do, you know, and that, what'd that look like, right? For a lot of years, it just looked like, you know, getting a job, not knowing what I was doing. And my first job, you know, back, what looked like was back to my parents' house.
Basement or bedroom?
You know, from school. I still had my bedroom there, you know, but back to my parents' house. I was like 22 years old, you know, going to my parents' house, you know, still trying to party a little bit, but they didn't really like, you know, they weren't having it. And, you know, there were some rules. You're going to stay in my house, you got to get a job, you know, you got to pay some bills. And then,
Absolutely.
you know, it was time to grow up. And I wasn't really sure I was ready to do that, you know, not on purpose. You know, I just wasn't conditioned for that. You know, I was conditioned to wake up and go to school and go on the field,
baseball.
you know, and play ball. And there was no consequences. I never had any consequences for the most part. You know, that was the biggest thing. My talent always got me through whatever problems I got myself in. You know, teachers or coaches, like there was always something that was like, well, he's got to pitch this weekend, or, you know, we need him on the team, or, you
Let
know,
him slide.
Can't fail this class, you know,
Right,
we
right.
need him to be eligible, you know. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart enough to get good grades. It was just that, you know, I was more focused on other things. And so what that looked like, it looked like my first job when I got to my parents' house. I remember it was, I got a job at the mall selling cell phones,
Okay.
you know, at one of those kiosks.
Yeah,
It was like a
gotcha.
T-Mobile kiosk. And, you know, I was in there and I was selling, you know, selling cell phones, man. You know, this was
Hustling.
this is way back, you know.
Flip phone era,
flip
Nokia.
phone, yep, Nokia brick phone.
Brick
blue.
phones, yeah.
Yep.
Morris phone era.
Yeah, right after that.
Centipede on the phone.
Yeah, Centipede, exactly.
Gotcha,
So
I gotcha.
I was selling those, you know, and you know, then I got, you know, offered the job, you know, to run another store. Left there, went to another place, ran the store there. Then I was selling cell phones in downtown Brooklyn, you know, on Fulton Street.
So you were all over, man.
All over, man. You know, and that's when I started to get, you know, some of that real like hustle where I knew like, man, like I could sell, you know, learned a little bit. And again, good teachers, you know, there was this guy in Brooklyn, you know, and in the city where I worked on 23rd and 7th Ave, you know, where I sell cell phones there. And this guy, Lenny, who owned the store, I'll never forget, he used to teach me how to sell cell phones to these people that walked in the store, you know, and these people would be walking up and down and I was selling phones all day long, you know, and And that's where it started. You know, that's where really I started really selling and learning the art of the sale, you know, and learning how to talk to people, and most of all, listen, right? Listen to what they were saying so that I can figure out the phone that made sense for them or the plan that would work for them, you know, and then take their information and run credit and all these things that we had to do to get you approved for a cell phone. And that included me getting on the train every day to the ferry, and the ferry into Staten, because I was in Staten Island.
Right.
So I was commuting, you know, I was commuting to Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn, you know, in downtown Brooklyn, Fulton Street, you know, it's the trenches in there, man.
Yeah,
it's no joke.
busy,
you
bro.
know,
Yeah, you got it.
I know this
Eyes
guy
in the back
worked
of your
for.
head.
Yeah, this guy I worked for. I think they had like 13 stores in like 5-block radius. It was Cellular Island, and there was, you know, be a kiosk there and a kiosk there, and like a store around the corner, and it was selling hundreds of cell phones a day. You know,
man.
but it's just a constant hustle, you know. And I did that for a while. You know, a while. It was probably like a year, you know. Gotcha. At the time, it was a long time. I played some poker. You know, I tried to play poker.
Man, you just tried jack of all trades.
Listen,
I love it.
I tried to play poker because I was like, man, this is fun. You know, this is good. And, you know, but I had a friend that was a professional poker player. So, I chased his coattails a little bit, and we would go to Atlantic City, and, you know, Monday through Friday, and we would play poker. And, you know, I would hustle and make money in Atlantic City playing poker. You know, we would go home on the weekends, and you know, and I did that for a little while too.
Not sustainable though.
Not sustainable at all. And for me, you know, that lifestyle for me doesn't work. You know, I like to party, and I was trying to move into another place, and in my life, and you know, that was just stalling it, you know, longer and longer. And you know, at some point, you know, I ended up getting a job at WB Mason.
Okay.
You know, which is an office supply company in the
Absolutely.
city. You know, a friend hooked me up with that I played ball with. And that's when I really, really learned how to sell. You know, we had like these guys that taught us, you know, we would have like these classes or whatever, you know, of like selling. And I literally, you know, my territory was downtown in Wall Street. And
Big bucks.
yeah, and I would have a suitcase full of catalogs, you know, with all the products in it, you know, and I would jump. Our office was on 23rd and 6th, actually, right around the corner from where the cell phone store was. Okay. And I would load up with the catalogs, and I would have a suitcase, and I would go and I would walk it down the stairs to the train, go down the train down to Wall Street, get off the train, and then I would go knocking door to door, floor to floor, man, all through Wall Street. And then eventually that grew. I became a sales manager. And, you know, I mean, realistically, probably knocked on almost every door in New York City trying to sell them paper.
So you went A to Z in the sales world. Like you went from like the cart pusher to like store manager. I mean, it's, you know, I'm thinking about like a supermarket, but in this case, like for sales, you went through every greasy rung on the ladder to get to where you're at. And how beautiful is that? We're going to get to you in a minute, Mike, but how beautiful is that unconsciously, and then in hindsight, now you look back, this was all preparing you for something a lot greater. But in the moment, you're young, you're WB Mason, you're selling the cell phones. You don't even see like what's 10 years down the line. You're just so focused on the now. But your whole story right now, what you just told me, it proves to me more why your company is so successful.
Thank you.
Because of all the greasy rungs you had to climb up to not slip. That's why I call them greasy rungs, to get to that top of the ladder. And everything that you learned while you were doing that, it kind of cultivated this, you know, two-headed monster that we have now.
That's
you
right.
know? And it's a beautiful thing, you know, and that's where I want to talk to Mike. What was your experience like Pat's that led up to you guys finding the car business? So what was your story from that to the car business?
I mean, I was kind of born into the car business. You know, that's basically my story. My mom, since I was 4 or 5 years old, my mom worked in a dealership.
Nice. Okay.
She was an office manager. She still is.
Wow.
And my whole childhood, my mother told me, do not get into the car business.
And you got into the car
You know
business.
what I mean? And
That's what everybody tells
you know,
you.
from the time I was washing dishes, I basically got into the restaurant business for the remainder of my teen years. You know, worked at a ton of different restaurants and sold anything I can get my hands on. You know,
Just like my man here.
yeah,
Right?
just like him. Pretty much sold anything I can get my hands on, legal, not legal, anything that I could do.
I get it.
You know, from 18 to 21, I had a couple rough years. I like to party also.
Now define rough.
Just rough, nothing I really wanted to get into, honestly. Just a couple rough years. You know, I hit my rock bottom and said to my mom, I need to do something. and she introduced me to a general manager and an owner of a car dealership, and I called him on a Friday or something, and he said, come in for an interview Monday. I sat down with a sales manager, and the first thing he asked me was, why do you want to sell cars? What have you sold before? Have you ever had a sales job? You know, I told him I was in the restaurant industry. He goes, not the restaurant industry. I said, listen, I've sold everything legal to not legal to everything of that sort. And he looked at me and he said, you know what? I really like that answer. You're hired. Was put on the floor, put into training for a couple of days. It was supposed to be like a 30-day training. I think I trained for 4 or 5 days until I sold my first car. It was a Saturday. They were shorthanded on the floor, and the rest was history from there.
Wow.
I jumped around from dealership to dealership for, I would say, the first couple of years in the car business, which is obviously not a good thing. I never planted my feet anywhere, so I got repeat customers and all of that.
Like a journeyman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I finally, after a couple of years of working at the place I was working with and jumping around, we started working together.
So how did you guys meet? How did that come
At
about?
the car dealership.
Okay, so you guys were both working at the same car dealership?
Yep.
Patrick, how'd you get to that car dealership?
So, I mean, I'm quite a bit older than him, actually.
Yeah, what's your
So,
ages? I didn't ask that, man. How old are you,
I
Mike?
just turned 33.
Yeah,
bless.
he's a baby. I'm 40.
40. You might. I'm 38. All right,
So-
we're right there, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I ended up at the car dealership, after WB Mason, then I had my daughter. She's 13 now. So that's
God bless.
13 years ago,
Wow. God bless, man.
thank you. And, from WB Mason, I left there for another office supply company that offered me more money. I used to be a man who always thought the grass was greener,
Aren't we all?
Yep.
Yeah.
And what I've come to learn is that my grass will stay green if I water it myself,
Absolutely, man.
And I've had some really good things that I've left thinking that there was something always better, whether it be relationships or whether it was jobs or, living, whatever it was. Like, that's just always was a mentality that I had. Like, there's always something better. Like, let me go get that when what I had was fine.
Exactly.
Kind of like whether it was greedy or whatever it was, it was just something that always made me think I needed to go do something else. So I left W. Mason, which was a great opportunity, and I had it made there to go somewhere else because they offered me more money.
Gotcha.
It's usually about the money that I make bad decisions, right?
Are you still like that?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm better now. I'm not. I'm a lot better than I used to be. We'll
Gotcha.
say that.
Yeah.
But I'm not. And I'll tell you why, and we can get to that later. Because the reality is, though, if it was about the money, I wouldn't be doing LFG because I'm making a lot more money sitting at a dealership right now behind a desk.
I hear you.
That's
bro.
a fact.
But sometimes money's not the big motivation. I feel like the process is the important thing and the passion. So if you're able to combine the process and passion together, eventually the money will come.
Right.
But it's the process and passion. If you chase money, sometimes you don't get, even if you do get the money you wanted, you don't feel fulfilled.
That's right.
So is that something you went through? Like you were
Yeah, so I went from WB Mason, I went to another company, then I had my daughter, and then this is kind of how I got into the car business. I had bought a house in New Jersey and I was commuting to the city. It was taking me 2 hours, and then I started, I had custody of my daughter, and I needed to be there. And
Absolutely,
the commuting thing
man.
wasn't working, and so I think I sought out an ad, from Car Max or something like
Right.
that for a training for a dealership. And I went to a dealership around the corner from my house, and I met this guy who was very instrumental in LFG also, this guy, Greg Kemp.
Okay.
And he was the general manager at this dealership. And I went through this training class and I went on the floor and he was my manager and he believed in me. And he was like, man, this is, you can do this. And, he just showed me the way. And it was very different from what I was used to. I was used to sitting in corporate rooms, selling people, whether it was knocking on a door and selling paper, but then eventually I had to get to the decision maker.
Right.
And then I had to sit down and explain to them why they needed to give me their whole account.
Gotcha.
As opposed to like the car game, which was very different, kind
Casual?
of sneaky, a little bit,
yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
Pass you a paper, which one you want to buy, like it was a little tough, it was just different.
Did it make you feel weird?
It did at first,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go back there and tell them, 6,000 down, 800 a month, for an Accord, and I was like, but that's crazy. Just do it. Okay. And I would go there and I would do it, and you go through the process and you end up at 2,000 down, 300 a month.
Right.
And it's just the process. And to
Right.
me, it was like, this is crazy, but this is the way we do it. Okay, fine. And I did it, but I learned a lot from those people. I learned, about the car business, you know, and it doesn't have to be that way. I'm not saying that's the way it is.
Well,
it was just an example, you know,
you took in what you had to and you spelled the bones, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so I was there for about a month, and then that guy left. When that guy left, another manager came in, and it was totally different. That was more of that guy, like 8,000 down, you know? And I was like, man, this is crazy. You know, so I called him and I was like, yo, Greg, this is crazy. And he was like, I got a spot for you, you know? And he said, go to this place, you know, and that was World Jeep, World Subaru, you know?
And that's where you met Mike at.
That's where I met Mike. I started working there.
Gotcha.
That's where I met him as well.
All right, got it. So all three of you, and by him, you're talking
JR,
my man JR in the cut. You don't see him, but he's part of the trilogy.
Gang. Yeah.
So you guys all met at World Jeep.
Yeah.
That's it.
And became instant friends.
History from there.
Yeah. Now, you worked in the auto, business. Did you guys bounce from World Jeep to other places, or you stayed at World Jeep?
So the funny thing is, I mean, talking about the grass being greener on the other side, I mean, I probably left World Jeep, World Subaru and World Jeep probably 7 or 8 times.
Wow.
That's it?
Revolving door?
I mean, in my head before I said that, I thought it was an exaggeration, but it's probably the number.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Probably the number. And it's just not the fact. You know, you go somewhere else and you leave and you come back and you beg to come back.
Right.
You know,
right.
and
I hear that. I've heard that a lot in the past with the auto business.
World Jeep for me was always a home. You know, they always welcomed me back with open arms, and as well as Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It was just a home for us for a very long time, and it definitely taught us a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're saying that revolving door, I left 8 times, came back 9, right?
Revolving door because of myself, not anybody else.
Oh, you just wanted I got you. Know. And then Pat, you're feeling the vibe where it's like, I don't want to just rock people to sleep. I want to do something that's right, where it feels good at the end of the day, where I can sleep at night.
Right.
So that brings me to my next question. Where did this come together for you guys that sparked LFG?
So there's a big gap in between.
Yeah, there's a big gap.
There's a huge gap in between.
Tell them about it. Tell them. Let's go.
Tell me the car business and LFG. I mean, there's almost a 10-year gap there.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. We got a lot. We're still not there yet.
I would say maybe a 6 to 8 year gap there.
So how was that 6 to 8 years between you guys?
Well, I was in Florida for 6, so that's
right.
Yeah.
Why'd you go to Florida for 6 years?
Oh, I had to go there to handle some personal stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is fine. You know, it's cool. You know, I went there, to handle some stuff, and I ended up staying there for like 6 years.
Gotcha.
Back and forth.
Gotcha.
Had relationship there and things like that. Started entrepreneurial stuff, companies, things like that, business stuff.
So you weren't selling cars in Florida?
Never. I stopped selling cars.
Okay.
Yep.
So you fell in love with the business, or you just found a different direction?
So when I was at World for like, I don't know maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Maybe a little less. I think it's a little less than that. But like he said, they taught me tons. The managers there were great. The people were great. I made great relationships. And I learned they did business differently. It was a mom and pop store, so to speak, and they treated people with respect. And I like that. I like that about that place, and that wasn't typical for the car business. So that's why I have a lot of respect for that place and the people that own it and the people that run it.
Stand up.
Yeah, stand up people, and they have a good reputation, and I like that, And then I left there thinking the grass was greener on the other side again, right? To go to an HVAC company called AJ Perry, because everybody was leaving the car business to go to AJ Perry to make more money. So I went there to make more money, and I did that for about 1.5 years or so before I ended up leaving about at the 2-year mark to go to Florida.
Gotcha.
So I went to Florida, and then I had my ups and downs there, coming back and forth. My daughter was here, I was there, and I had a tough time. I struggled with some stuff, and the reality was like, I was doing my best, at the time with what I had, and it was difficult, and it was a struggle. And, I tried to start a business and it failed. It was a recruiting business that I got into with somebody else that failed, but I learned a lot in the process, the starting up and all that kind of stuff. And then I worked in some other industries, and I didn't really have anything really going on is the real long and short of it,
Right.
I was just kind of out there living, like I was 22 again, down in Florida in the sun,
No responsibility.
No responsibility.
No accountability.
No accountability. My family was here. My friends were here. My daughter was here, and I was just down there, and I just kept saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go. I'll get back." And before you know it, it was 5 or 6 years later.
What was that part of, like, also like a kind of like, I mean, sometimes, and again, without me prying, sometimes a response to trauma is turning off everything. Do you feel like that was a response to whatever you probably went through that? And
Yeah,
again,
I mean, like, listen, we can
but
listen. I don't mind. You know, just like Justin and John and Scott. You know, like I'm in recovery. You know, so
God bless you, man.
I had to go to Florida. You know,
Right.
to do what I had to do, and I ended up staying there longer than I expected to stay there. Is the reality.
Right.
And yeah, it was just the place that I had to go at the time. You know, and I had all intentions of coming back like 30 days later. It just didn't work out that way.
Right.
You know, and the reality was, you know, in that time, you know, they were here, he was here, you know, working in the car business, doing his thing, changing his life, doing better, you know, and we continue to stay close and stay friends the entire time.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And so you guys, while you were in Florida, you guys still communicated.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
JR was still in the fold as well, right? And what was the moment like when you guys all like, you know, got back together? You moved back from Florida to here. How did that come about?
So that was how did that?
So, I mean, if you, I mean, I don't want to talk too much, but so, I mean, LFG, right? LFG, at one point, so this is another part of my entrepreneurship, you know, I was working in restaurants down there, you know, and I decided I was going to be a personal trainer, you know?
Wow, you just did everything. I love it.
Yeah,
man.
listen, man.
No, but you know what's crazy about that is that you don't learn by winning, you learn by failing.
Yeah.
And I feel like no one understands this in business or in life. I failed so much,
Yeah.
but it got me to where I'm at. Everybody in this room failed a lot. And you just keep fine tuning.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you were okay with like, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And so what if it didn't work out? You learned the lesson, you moved on, and now you're here to talk about your company.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great thing that you actually failed.
It is, man.
You know?
And I mean, like, listen, you're one of your questions about reading books. I've read tons of books, dog. Like I'm a book reader, you know? So through all those times of falling on my face, you know, I learned so much, not only in the falling, but every time I had to get back up, you know, I had to keep getting back up. And in the process of getting up, you know, I would dig in harder and try harder and try and learn more and, you know, make new relationships and try and foster those and just continue. And then listen, then I would fall again. And then I would have to dig myself out of the mud again. And through all of that adversity, you know, the perseverance that it took to get through all of that stuff, you know, at some point I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I want to be a personal trainer, you know, LFG, I came up with that. You know, LFG has been a thing, right? Like, let's fucking go, you know?
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Listen, everybody knows what it means, right? And I was like, man, that's cool. I like that. And me and my friends used to say it to each other, you know, my friends down there and stuff like that. And I would see it and Tom Brady and all that kind of stuff. I was like, you know what, man, I'm going to make this personal training thing and I'm going to call it LFG.
Right.
You know, and I made these shirts and it was called Life Fitness Goals, you know, and change your life through fitness to accomplish your goals.
Loving it.
You know, and at the time I was very into the gym and, you know, very into my fitness and I was feeling good and I was feeling that kind of thing, you know, and then through all that process, you know, like you start a business and you fail, you start a business and you fail. And like through all that, what I learned is like you learn how to start an LLC, right? You learn what it takes to apply through the state, right? You learn that you need to open up a business account, a checking account, right? You learn all these things that you need to do in order to be a viable business and to be right with the IRS, you know, and to have an accountant, right? And how to order merch, right? And like what makes sense, like that's, and what it's like to market. And then you have to learn how to use Instagram and how you're going to reach your people and how am I going to get clients, right? And then and I don't have a gym, so how am I going to train you? But we're in Florida, so let's meet at the thing. And I had these boot camps on Saturdays and Sundays, and I have 10, 15, 20 people there, and I would charge them $5 or $10 a pop, and I was making a couple $100 a weekend, you know? And that's how it started, and that's where LFG originally came from. It had just started, like I was just messing around with it, you know?
That spark, man. And
that's where it sparked out of, you know?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, everything you just said to me, like that train of thought you were just in, the only thing that kept popping in my head was resourcefulness. And again, it's like it bleeds through both of you, you know, like the resourcefulness aspect of it, like not taking no for an answer. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to figure out the answer if I can't find one. And if the wall's big, I'm going to break through it. You know what I mean? So with all that you went through, coming back from Florida to hook up with Mike again, what was that like? And what was the conversation like, Mike, I want to start a, you know, lease financing group. What was your take on this?
I don't even think it went like that. I mean,
how did it go?
I think it was more of the fact, like, you know, he was talking about moving back and talking about going into a dealership, and you know, we all just put our heads together. I mean, we're in a group chat that, you know, the first thing we do in the morning when we wake up is text each other. You know, that's literally the first thing the three of us do in the morning when we wake up. You know, whether it's literally just saying good morning or bless up, or, you know, not even say, maybe sometimes don't even say a word after that, you know, or sometimes talk for hours. You know, it just depends on our mood. And, you know, we all motivate each other. And I think what happened is that, you know, he said he was coming back, and he said he was going to go into a dealership. And I mean, what's your timeline from here? I can't really put it all together.
Yeah, I mean, so that same guy that I talked about that gave me my first job, you know, I had a job coming back from Florida. You know, I said, I'm coming back from Florida. What am I going to do? You know, and the reality was I came back here, I had nothing. Like, nothing, you know?
Start from the bottom.
Start from the bottom. Yeah. I had to call Justin. I said, you know, Justin, what's up? I'm coming back. You know, I need a place to stay. I stayed in Justin's basement.
Wow.
No doubt, dog. Come on down. We got you.
Love.
You know, love. You know, it was time for me to come back and, you know, take care of my daughter, you know, and fulfill the roles that I was, you know, made to fulfill. You know, like God had me father for a reason, you know, and I belonged here, you know, and then finally I realized that, you know, and under, you know, circumstances, one led to another, and that's what it came to. Time to come back to New Jersey, thank God. And I said, you know, Justin, I need a place to stay. Justin said, come stay in my basement, no problem. I came back, I stayed in Justin's, called him, we talked about it. And I went back to this dealership. The first day I got home, I was driving to the dealership, and, you know, I could, you know, the job was mine, you know, just come, show up, let me show you around, blah, blah, blah. I walk in the dealership. Yo, what's up? Yo, Pat, good to see you. You know, this is him, this is Pat, you know, blah, blah. You know, and he's basically was selling me to come there. It wasn't really much of an interview. I already had the job.
Yeah.
He wanted me to feel comfortable there and be like, yo, this is a good spot for you to come to. Because I had, you know, he knew me, you know, he knew what I was capable of. And, you know, and we sat there and we talked about it, and, you know, you'll make this, and this, blah, blah. And it's a big number. You know, you run a desk in a dealership, it's a pretty big number. Right. I had nothing. Literally, I had zero. I might have had gas to get there. I probably had to ask him for money to get gas to get there.
Wow.
You know, and I got into an accident on the way there too. I was on the phone with him.
Jesus.
Yep. And I spun out, and I remember, and I hit the side rail, and I was like, damn, I just got into an accident. He's like, man, what are you doing? Yeah, man, I just gotten back, you know?
All these roadblocks mentally, but go ahead.
And the car was good. I jumped back in the car. I kept going. I didn't want to be late. Got there, did what we had to do. And like at some point during that process with him, I was like, yo, let me ask you a question. We had already talked about this. I was like, yo, what do you know about?
We've been planting seeds in each other's
because
minds
I saw somebody post something on Instagram about leasing company, you know?
I think it was really that, like, I was still in the dealerships, and I would deal with brokers. Gotcha. I was always that one on the floor who would recruit the brokers and get those easy deals. I mean, you know, the brokers that were buying cars for me were taking, you know, 5, 6, 7 cars a month. And if I had two or three brokers, you know, I was already top guy without even having to take customers on the floor. Wow. You know, I was always about the fact of selling the cars on the phone and selling the cars the easiest way, and social media and all of that, and not having to talk to customers that walk into the store. Gotcha. You know, I like to talk, but I don't like to be. You know? I really don't. You know, I build my rapport and I have my customers, and, you know, that's the way we've run our business. I mean, we haven't advertised, you know, not to get ahead of ourselves here, but we haven't paid for advertising once since we opened up. You know, our business is repeats and referrals and friends and
social media
and family and social media and stuff like that. But I mean, we getting back to the story is, I mean, we planted seeds in each other's heads for so long. And I think I probably mentioned it one day, is like, why can't we do what they do? You know, why do I have to sit in a dealership and sell the cars, and these guys are out delivering the cars to people's houses and blah, 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 and doing that.
And they got freedom.
Freedom.
You're stuck in a freaking brick and mortar for 10 hours a day with a tie.
So that's
kind of old school. They don't really wear ties anymore, dog.
So where we came from, where we worked, I mean, it was you know, it was this outfit right here, but like in the summertime, we had it made. We were in a country club, so we you know, we wear shorts and sneakers and golf shirts in the summertime. So like, we weren't that typical car dealer. Speaking of that, I have a
see that?
The wholesalers calling all that.
Never ends.
There you go.
Never
Real
ends.
time.
Yep. Thought it was on Do Not Disturb. But yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean,
Isn't this more rewarding though than, like I said, being in that auto dealer place for 8-10 hours a day?
It's absolutely more rewarding. I mean, the fact you're working 8 to 10 hours a day in a store is great, and there's, you know, tons of benefits from it. You're working in a store with great people, but, you know, you don't get to do things your own way. You know, that's the biggest thing is, you know, you just don't get to do things your own way. And, you know, for years in the car business, I was a manager at a couple places. You know, I was allowed to have ideas, but, you know, my ideas had to go through other people as well. You know, running your own company, you can put your own ideas and your own
Pat,
thoughts.
you guys,
you know, the two of us, he's the more business-minded person.
Right.
You know, I'm resourceful and a hustler and stuff like that. But like when it comes to business, I mean, this is the guy.
You're the iron fist. He's the velvet glove.
I mean, we're a good compliment to each other. Right?
Yeah, man.
But that's a good thing in business. Like partnerships, they can never be two of the. You know, you guys have to be different.
Of course.
If you guys were both the same, I don't think it would have worked out.
We're on the same. We're the same on a lot of levels, but there's
yeah, it's a lot of
we're
difference.
well
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So what happened was, like, you know, we talked about it, you know, it's a conversation, I'm going there. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's a perfect lead in, right? And I told this guy, like, yo, let me ask you a question, you know, because he had already planted the seed in my head.
Yeah, we had already talked.
And I'm coming back here, I got nothing. I'm like, man, I don't know about starting a business, but I'm actually, but I'm not going to go work for somebody else. I'm already, you know, I had already decided that I didn't want to work for somebody else, you know, once I had started doing the personal training and stuff like that. And I had already decided when I was coming back here that it was going to be all right. You know, like I had all the support I needed. Right. So like the risk really, there was a lot of risk, but I didn't really perceive it as risk, you know, Gotcha. Like what do I got to lose at this point? You know, I've been through the trenches. I got nothing to lose, you know, and that was my mentality. And I went and I sat with this guy and I said to him, like, you know, what do you think about, you know, leasing company, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh man, like, if anybody can do it, it's probably you. You know, that's a good idea. And he was like, you know what, bro? Like, I don't even know what to tell you, man. You should go do that. I was like, wow. And I looked at him like, what do you mean? Like, I'm here for you to tell me to come work here. And he was like, bro, listen, man, you can always work here. Go follow your dreams. Go do something. You can do it. There's people out here doing it. You can do it. I walked out of there and I called him. I was like, yo, let's do it. You know, what do you think? I think we should do it, you know? Wow. And I had nothing. So I had to call him and be like, yo, let's do it. You know?
This was what, 4 years ago, 3 years ago?
No, this was like 18 months ago, 2 years ago, 2 years ago.
Okay. So, oh, wow. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So I call him. I said, yo, what do you want to do? You know, we need, you know, how much money are we going to need?
I'm personally, I'm sitting behind the desk at a store and I have a job.
You're cozy. You're
you
cozy.
know, I have a job. I'm
a good one.
I'm making six figures. I have a job. I'm doing well for myself.
Right.
You know, and
yep. And he said, you know, listen, bro, I'm down. You know,
I wanted to leave on the spot. He told me, sit your ass down and stay where you're at.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's exactly, he's like, yo, let's do it. I'm like, no, hold up.
You're like, let's plan this out.
Hold up. You know, you're doing fine. Stay where you're at. Let me test the waters, you know, and then this is like my favorite part of it. Like, this is where it really started to cultivate, you know, where like, I'm like, yo, I think we need office space, you know, and the next, like, cause that's where I go.
He's doing it out of the basement.
Yeah. That's what I mean, no, we're not doing anything yet. You know, I'm not doing anything yet. I'm just like, yo, let's do this. And then I'm like, maybe we should get office space, you know. Next thing in our group chat, like he's sending a link to a shared space, you know, it's like $400 a month for just an office. And I'm like, yo, let's go check it out. Right. And then this is one of my favorite parts. You know, we all met at this parking lot, you know, in Neptune, and it was this big office, you know, and we were going in there. I was going in there to rent an office, you know. Went in, we do a tour, blah blah. But we didn't even know
we didn't have a business.
No idea what we're doing yet, right? But this is it. Like I just, you know, once I make a decision, like I just knew
all in.
I'm all in. You know. Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
Visionary.
Yeah. What am I going to do? Fail?
Yeah.
I've done that a million times.
Exactly.
You know, what's the worst that can happen?
You're prepared already.
Yeah. Man. It can't be. Listen, it couldn't have been any worse than the things that I've failed at before.
Right.
You know. And so we sat there in the parking lot, the three of us, and we talked about it. You know, and we encouraged it, and we were like, you know, what do you want to do? You know, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. And then we talked about all the different things we knew about the business. You know, well, if they can do it, why can't we? And if they do it this way, then why can't I? And does this even make sense? Well, like, yeah. All right. How are we going to do this? All right. Yep. And then, you know, and then I said, all right, we're going to give ourselves 90 days, you know, because he wants to leave. And I'm like, you can't leave yet, bro.
He's hyped.
Yeah.
He's hyped.
And I was like, you can't leave yet. A, because you can't. B, I need your money, you know, and C, if I fail, I don't want to be responsible for you failing.
Your job.
Gotcha. Yeah. You know, and you can't leave there again because they may not take you back.
The 10th time.
Yeah. Yep. So we sat there and I was like, yo, 90 days. If it doesn't work 90 days, I'll go over there. You had never left there, and you know, we'll see. I'll do everything we need to do. You know, wow. and then he financially, you know, supported it, you know, and he believed in me. And you know,
yeah.
and we
You
sat
guys are
there,
here today.
and I
sat
sat there.
at my desk in the dealership while he sat in his basement, you know, in Justin's basement.
Yep.
And working deals and
Busting moves.
you know, he wasn't in the car business for 5 or 6 years
Right.
before that, so he,
Right.
you know,
Rusty.
He
You
forgot.
had to get reacclimated to everything.
Reactivated. He forgot everything.
Everything.
Wow.
Everything.
Everything.
So I
Wow.
mean, the phone calls were all day long to
Yep.
me and JR, you know, in the group chat, and you know, him getting reacclimated with the business,
Yep.
and you know,
You don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Sure.
right. No.
Right.
But there's beauty in that, and there's a sense of grit in that you guys, well, not you, but you know, Pat had to get. You're riding the bike again. You're trying to get back in motion. You're trying to get the feel for it again. But the beauty of it is you're not giving up through the process.
the beauty
Right.
of it is sales are sales. I mean, no
That's
matter
right.
what you're selling, sales are sales.
That's right.
You know, if you
And
put
what-
your heart into it, you're
You're
gonna
gonna
succeed.
get something. And that, you know what, that there's a question I had to ask you guys, and you just reminded me of it now. So, and you can educate me as well. The broker space, right now, I noticed that it's a big, I don't know if it's in vogue or it's just like a big space right now, like as far as like getting a return on investment. But what separates you guys? What your business model? How does that separate yourself from the competition? What are you guys doing different?
I think the biggest answer to that is that, you know, a lot of these brokers that are out there brokering cars, 3/4 of them have never been in the car business. You know, they all thought it was an easy job, and they're doing well at it, you know, or whatever they're doing. But a lot of them don't have the experience that we've had. You know, we take a lot of our experience and we don't do what was done to us and what was told to us to do to customers, you know, and we take our challenges through our entire career in the car business and try to do things a different way. In some sorts of ways. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we do the same way because the process is work. But that's our biggest thing is, I mean, we're our own bosses now. So, you know, there's customers that if there's a customer we don't want to deal with, we don't have to deal with them. You know, that's the biggest thing.
That's
It's
the
like
beauty of it.
we run our business the way we want to run our business, and we're very transparent with the way we do our business. You know, there's a lot of places and a lot of people that aren't transparent in this business. You know, there's a lot of dealerships that give there's a lot of dealerships that give other dealerships a bad name, just like there's a lot of brokers that give other brokers a bad name. You know, there's just ways to do things and ways to not do things, and we try to tailor the way we do things on stuff that have happened in the past, not doing those things.
So you're saying that transparency is important for you guys
Very
in
much so.
the broker space. Do you feel that the people that aren't transparent, is it because it's greed, or is it just lack of knowledge in the business?
I think it's an easier way to sell cars to not be transparent. You know, it's an easier way to sell cars it's an easier way to do anything not to be transparent. So, you know, there's a lot of gullible people in the world that'll just say yes because you told them to say yes.
Exactly.
You know, we like to lay things out for people and show people what they're getting, and you know,
We provide a
everything of that
service.
sort.
We
We provide a service,
provide a
exactly.
service that 95% of people don't know how to buy a car, right?
It's tough.
It's an art,
tough.
right? If you will, to buy a car, right? Like if you walked into me in a car dealership when I was 26 years old, it was a problem for you.
You would have
Buying
had
a
cracked.
car.
You were buying a car and you probably weren't leaving at the same number you were coming in at. You know, I was good at what I did.
Yeah.
And when you left, you were happy about it, you know, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just doing my job, and I was doing what I was taught, you know, but it didn't always, you know, and it's not like supposed to sound like this bad thing, you know, but you know, most people that buy cars, they go there, they have an idea of what they want, you know, and they usually don't leave there with what they want at the number that they thought they were going to get it at.
And they're over the head.
Yeah, you know, and there's an impulsivity to that. You know, it's shiny and new,
It's
and you know,
adrenaline
it's all
going,
it's all a
it's-
thing. It's like anything. Like, you know, I walk into the mall and I don't walk out with what I expected to go in there for either. I walk into Costco to go pick up, you know, something. I walk out with a lot more stuff. You know, that's also one of the disadvantages that we have. We don't have shiny things to put in front of your face and have you come to our lot and drive and have impulsivity. Like, we don't have that part of it, right? And so we provide a service, and that service is, you know, we save your time, we save your money. You know, nowadays the test drive, most people don't really care about test driving the car. I say not all,
Yeah, but
a lot. You know,
75%.
Everybody knows what they've driven. They've had one before.
Yeah.
They're getting out of something. Their friend has it. Their uncle has it. Their cousin, their nephew.
75%.
You know, we rarely run into an issue where somebody's like, "Oh, I got to test drive the car first," you know, but we provide a service that allows you to, you know, and again, the dealership is our friend. You know, there's also this notion that like, oh, we're brokers and there's the dealer.
No,
like
it's
we're
collaboration.
enemies. Yeah,
It's
we're not
collaboration,
enemies.
yeah.
Like we don't have a business without dealerships allowing us to have a business. That's the reality. Like our contacts allow us the courtesy to do business with them to provide a service for our customers, right? They allow us access to their inventory. They allow us access to pricing, better pricing than the average person might come into. And in general, a service that allows us to save you the time that it might take to go to the dealership, look at a car, sit down with the salesman, deal with the manager, work a deal.
You're cutting the red tape.
Cutting it all,
Yeah.
right? So
You're
a
going
3 or
straight to the
4 hour
source.
process, unless you're like somebody that's really good, maybe take an hour or two, right? But in general, a 3 or 4 hour process takes you 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes with us. I have access, to all of the programs for every single brand that there is. We can run numbers on 5 different deals in a matter of 10 minutes.
And the turnover's quick.
And then as soon as you say yes, we have the car in your driveway the next day.
Beautiful.
And you don't have to, you can do it. Like I said, my boy that I was working with last night sent me a text last night at 10 o'clock, by 2 o'clock this afternoon, we have a deal ready and we'll deliver the car to his house tomorrow afternoon. It's simple as that.
And the beauty of it is your demographic, and correct me if I'm wrong, affluent people don't have time. People that want a deal have all the time. So,
True.
You're kind of indirectly marketing yourself to a demographic where they rather pay more but have the process taken out of the way.
Correct.
You do everything for me. I don't care if I'm paying an extra $5,000. I don't care. You're making my life easy. That's value, and I see value in that. If Patrick and Mike can deliver, it's value to me because I'm running a business, or I got 5 kids, or
Right.
I'm working from home. I don't have time to go into a dealership. So some people actually pay more to get that quality service. And you guys are trending 40 reviews every year. You're at 85 reviews with a 5-star review on Google. That is immaculate for you only being in business 18 months or 2 years, whatever you said.
Thank you very much.
So it shows dedication to the process. It shows a dedication to the service. So how do you get those numbers to that number, 5 stars in 2 years? Like, explain that process to me, because you guys seem like you're very customer oriented.
You basically just got to wow every customer you're in front of. I mean, there's, like I said before, there's people that we don't have to do business with. So there's a couple friends of ours that are professional car buyers that we won't sell cars to.
Wow.
And it's not even that we won't sell cars to them, but they enjoy going into the dealership and negotiating and going through the whole
They
process.
get a little thrill.
Yeah, and we
beating
don't.
them up.
Right?
Yeah.
Listen, dog, you're too good for me. I don't even want to deal with you.
The funny thing is like sometimes like the 2 of us will look at each other or the 3 of us in a group chat and be butthurt about it. But like the fact of the matter is like, our service is for people that don't have the time to do that stuff.
That's right.
Like we just said, yeah.
That's our service. Our service isn't for somebody who enjoys going into a car dealership and to buy a car. And there's nothing wrong with going into a car dealership to buy a car, but there's a lot of people in the world that don't have time to do it. And you do.
takes hours, right?
It does. You do run into the great salespeople who can make it happen in an hour and a half. But 90% of the time, it's probably a 3 to 4 to 5 hour job.
Yeah. No one has time for it.
And
No one.
and that's the thing. That's our service is the convenience of it.
And so it's funny, like you say, no one has time for it, but a lot of people have time. They make time for it, dog. And that's why we have a business. The reason why we're able to do what we do is like even from the beginning, right? When I was sitting in the basement, and I made my first post that like we're doing this, and again, we haven't spent $1 on marketing, not $1. Like I haven't spent $1.
I think you spent $1
on Facebook
I think
ad.
you spent $1 on a Facebook ad once because you didn't know what you were doing.
Probably. So I think it
was $1.
And I remember in the beginning not knowing what we were doing.
So what's this?
Yeah, and we didn't know what we were doing, right?
Yeah.
And we learned, right? And we did it from a distance. I did it from the basement, and then I would deliver the car, pick up the car, all hours of the night. While I was like, dude, I think this is gonna work. I'm out here doing it. We can do it, And then I'm just thinking about what it's going to be like when I got him next to me, how much better it's going to be, because I need him, like I'm
absolutely.
not, but this doesn't happen without him.
Yeah.
For me,
And what's JR's role in it?
he's just a staple for both of us,
Gotcha.
like he's like a big brother,
Gotcha.
He's a voice of reason, if you will.
Okay.
I don't know about Mike, but I call him sometimes to complain about Mike. I don't know if Mike calls him to complain about me.
You need that sometimes, though.
That depends.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have.
No, because and this is the part. This is the part.
Hasn't happened in a while.
No, fair enough.
This is the part in business that no one talks about. It's like, it's not always gonna be sunshine and rainbows.
No.
You're gonna have your butting head moments. You're gonna have the moments where you don't agree on a deal or you don't agree on this, but you work through it as a family.
Well, I think the fact also is, like, talking about butting head moments. I think we came into this business. We came into this business at the wrong time.
Yeah, there's that too.
We decided to get into this business, and then COVID happened.
No, COVID had already been happening.
COVID had happened.
Yeah, it was mid-COVID.
And the business was, everything was okay. We were selling,
we started mid-COVID. We started November 2020, bro. It was mid-COVID. You know how I know? Because we got the office.
Because you were the first one to have COVID.
Well, that too. In March of 2020, I was Agent Zero. But we got the office, right? Paid the rent, and then we got shut down again. And that's how I ended up in the basement. Jesus. Right? That's how it started. And then we were completely shut down again. And everybody said we were crazy. You can't do this right now. It's the middle of a pandemic. You can't start a business in the middle of a pandemic.
The vaccines and everything.
It was before the vaccines, And so and it was right before Christmas, right? Jeez. And we were just, grinding, man. I was grinding morning till night, a lot of times in my underwear. I didn't brush my teeth, take a shower. Yeah. I was on the computer grinding. And then it was like, I got to deliver this car. I better take a shower. Because I hadn't left the computer in hours. I'm like this. I got boards all around me in the basement, bro. I got
a lot of whiteboards.
He's
a whiteboard guy.
Yeah, I need, because I got to listen. There's a lot going on up here all the time. Yeah, and sometimes I got to put it down on paper. And it's somebody said to me the other day, like, because I was explaining to them another idea I had, and she was like, this looks like a beautiful mind, I'm not trying to say like that's what I am, but like the way he writes on the board, all these things all over the place, but it makes sense to him. And that's kind of how it works for me. I have to get it out. I have to have outlets to talk about the things that are going on in my head because I have a lot going on. And when I write them stuff, listen, if you came down there in November of 2020, there were boards everywhere. And it's funny, I got on my memories a picture of one of those boards today. I took a picture of myself, and the board behind me is just full of stuff and names and numbers and brands and all this stuff. And that's how it came together. Just all this stuff was cultivating and happening all at the same time in the middle of a pandemic.
You proved too that you're an artist, not a salesman.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. That's the reason why you guys are here.
Well,
so
yeah, 100%. I mean, I was sitting at the dealership, and the way we were doing business was we had tents set up outside. They closed everyone down, but I guess the gray area was if you set a tent up outside, people can still buy cars.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him put a mask on and suit up and go deliver these cars.
Yeah. So what better thing to do than deliver a car to your house?
Yeah,
why would you want to come to a dealership?
That was
it's almost like the business parlayed itself to a more like a to your front lawn type of thing where we're just gonna take it right to your doorstep.
Yes and no. I mean, when we first
well then
we first started and we started in November and I came on board in March. Was it March? End of March.
Right before your birthday.
Oh, right before? No, after my birthday.
After?
April 1st I came on board, I think.
Man.
Yeah, so November to March, 4 months of us collaborating from a distance, and getting it through. And then we got through the 90-day mark and it was like, dude, it's been 90 days.
Still pushing.
I showed my ass. Let's go. Time for you to leave.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, that's not even how it happened.
Did you leave right away?
Well, March came and he told me to sit my ass down and stay at work, and I told him absolutely not. That's exactly what happened. He didn't say I need you. It was I need you, and I need to come because he's doing well, and my passion's in that, and I'm sitting at the dealership, and my passion's in that, and obviously selling cars, and I want to make money, and it's not affecting my work, and I'm still making money,
right?
And it never crossed where we were crossing businesses.
No.
But the fact of the matter is that's where I wanted to be.
He was crawling to your corner in the wrestling ring. You're like, tag me in,
let's
go.
That's true. I kept telling him, wait.
Yeah.
Wait. You know why? Because I was scared because it was weird. It's a pandemic. There's a lot going on. And listen, the biggest fear I had was him leaving his job. That was the biggest fear that I had because I didn't know.
You didn't want to hold that up.
I didn't know. Listen, I knew he wasn't going to make what he was making.
Yeah,
number one.
Exactly.
And I wasn't sure, you know, because I take it on myself. Like, listen, if we fail, you know, that's just the kind of guy I am. You know, I'm going to take it on. And I was scared, you know, and he believed in me, and he believed in himself, and he believed in us.
Yeah, I had bills. I had a mortgage. You know,
And bro, he took a huge pay cut to come.
Scary.
You know,
humongous.
and that was huge, you know. And when that happened, because I was afraid to be like, yo, you should go now, because I couldn't possibly produce what he was making on my own. And then I didn't know if we were going to be able to do it together, you know. The reality is we still haven't produced what he was making there, you know.
Can I ask you a question? Why were you so quick to jump when you were making such good money? Like,
That's a good question.
Because it's not always about the money. It's
what was making you like? What made you want to do that?
The freedom.
Really?
The freedom. My best friend, you know, wanting to work with him. He's always been a huge influence in my life. You know, from his ups to his downs. You know, to all of our ups to our downs. You know, this guy's definitely been one of the biggest influences in my life when it comes to business. I just wanted to be by his side and start this business that, you know, that we made a baby of.
Right.
You know, but yes, I was making a ton of money. I was doing even better during COVID because I didn't have to talk to customers. You know, I sold the most cars in my life during COVID. I think I sold 51 cars in 1 month.
Wow.
You know, me and another kid in the store,
Wow.
I think he did 52 or 53. And the store probably did 130 cars that month. And we did 70 or 80% of them, you know? So yes, I mean, leaving there I was out of my mind for wanting to leave there, you know, completely out of my mind for wanting to leave there. And knowing I was going to take a pay cut when I walked out that door. But it didn't deter me.
Don't you feel better now?
I feel way better now, and I'm still not making it.
It's okay though.
I'm still not making anywhere near the money that I was making when I was sitting in the dealership and selling cars. And I can't say I wasn't happy before, but I'm the happiest I've ever been now. It's you know, my freedom. I have a beautiful family at home, a beautiful girlfriend, 2 dogs.
God bless.
Those are my kids, and you know, I get to spend time with them. You know, being in a dealership, you know, working at World where we worked, you know, we had nice hours there, but if you have a customer at 8 o'clock,
You got the chain on the table.
yeah, if you got a customer there at 8 o'clock and they want to buy a car, you're there till 11 o'clock at night. You know, our freedom now is when we leave our office, and we probably leave the office at, you know, 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock every day.
Love it.
But it doesn't stop us from working.
You're still
You know,
on the phone. You're still
you know,
Ask my girl.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's my wife.
Same thing. You know, the minute we leave our store, and we don't need a storefront. We have a nice little storefront in Eatontown. That's our man cave.
Yep.
You know, that's what it is. We've probably had 3 customers in our store the entire time that we've had our store open.
Yep.
But it's good for presence. It's good to have a presence and have a brick and mortar there.
We have a big sign on the road. We have a big sign on the door. We have a big ping pong table in the middle of our, you know, in between our desks.
Yep.
You know, and we go there and we have fun, and we have a big TV in the showroom and 2 couches, and you know, we call it our showroom. It's our showroom. You know, we call it our showroom because we came from dealerships, but it's our house. You know, it's where we want to wake up in the morning and go. Because when we first started, the 2 of us, we actually did this from our respective houses. You know, we got rid of the office and said, let's do this from your basement and my house,
Right.
and we'll download Discord and we'll do this over the computer.
Wow.
You know, but me sitting in front of my computer.
That's right.
all
Let's
day
get
long,
honest.
100%.
Well, listen.
go.
Yeah, because what happens
We do
is
very well. You know, I you know, sitting in front of my computer every day. I want to play Call of Duty. I want to sit at my computer and I want to smoke weed in my house. You know, it's my house.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'm comfortable there. When I go to the office in the morning, I don't want to do that. You know, I want to
Gotcha.
work.
You wanna
And
work,
not that I
yeah.
don't want to work at home, but I want to, while in the middle of working, if there's nothing going on, I'm going to play a game of Call of Duty, and now I might be on there for 3 hours. You
That's what
know,
you're saying.
but you know,
Yeah, it's not that work doesn't get done at home, right? You know, and I
Right.
learned this again. You know, I remember the turning point for me at WB Mason was when they let me work from home because my daughter was getting to be deal. You know, and I know from my own experience, like I know now that I can work from home, but I'm still not as good as I would be if I showed up, woke up, take a shower, I got to show up somewhere, I got to be there. You know, nowadays, you know, I used to be there early all the time, and then he would come in. Nowadays, he's beating me there, which makes me need to beat
Good.
him there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the process, right?
You got to edge each other.
Yeah, there's a process that happens when you get up and you show up somewhere. You know, something happens when you go somewhere to do something and have focus.
Well,
you
it's
know?
flow.
the craziest
You got
thing
to
is, like,
keep having the
yeah,
flow. You know,
in the morning time, we don't have to we don't have to answer to each other. But if I'm running late, I call him and say, hey, yo, I'm running late. You know, I'll be there in 15, 20 minutes. Or, you know, same thing with him. But we don't have to call each other and tell each other where the fuck we're at. I mean, it's our business. And it's not like we have to open a store where there's people lining up at the store to come into the store. But we just want to be there with each other and put our minds together. And
that creates atomic habits, because you want to have
good book.
My man, you want to have smart guy here. You want to have a positive flow of your life every day that's adding to whatever it is you're trying to cultivate. You know, like I wake up at 4:15 every day.
Love that.
In the gym by 5, out by 7, starting my day at 8 o'clock till whenever I get home. But with what I do, I can, if I wanted to, I could sleep until 7 and then start my day. But I need to have that atomic habit to create something else in my life that can make me more prosperous, more disciplined, more successful. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, is that now you will have that space. You know what? I don't want to smoke weed and play Call of Duty. I want to actually become better at what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? You start to build better habits when the back is against the wall. Have you guys been feeling that, or you're not? So
no
it's
doubt.
just,
I mean, for sure. I mean, just doing what we do now and getting into this where we're at now, like it started off as like, dude, we got a company, right? That's like flourishing. You know, we have people. You know, our phones ring every day. You know, to provide a service to our customer base based on our Facebook and our Instagram, and you know, it's forced me to be a better person in a lot of ways, right? And not only do I have, I have a business to maintain, right? I have him to represent. He represents me and I represent him, and we represent LFG Auto, and we have people that follow our Instagram, that follow us on Facebook. I have family members, and then our whole business is based on referrals, right? So like, if you're going to refer me or him to your neighbor, I better be doing the right thing if you're going to believe in me enough, right? Or you're going to believe in our company enough to refer us to your neighbor. And then your neighbor refers us to their neighbor.
The last thing you want is your neighbor to call Carvana.
Like we talked about this before. That's right. Listen, man, and that's true.
I saw the story. Yeah,
it's true, man.
But that passion I saw in that video, you were being funny. You were making light of it. God bless you. But that would piss me off. Yeah. Because it's like, that's one less opportunity that I could have capitalized on.
Whose fault is that? It's not their fault.
Sometimes you gotta look at yourself.
It's not their fault. Yeah, it's my fault. Yeah. They don't know what I do. Exactly. If you don't know what I do, it's my fault, not yours. That means that I didn't do enough to get in front of you, to plant a seed, to provide whatever it is that I'm offering. And I made a joke. I don't know whether it was on Facebook or something. I think it was his father, actually. He made a comment, and I said, listen, if I go to the bagel store and the guy that makes my bagels don't know what I do, that's my fault. It doesn't matter where I am.
The squeakiest wheel gets the most grease.
Always. You miss every shot you don't take also, right? Absolutely. So if I'm everywhere I am, if I got shirts on, if we're not giving shirts out, if we're not posting and tagging, and listen, I'm not good at the social media game, I believe we're probably at about a 10 or a 15 in the social media game. We have so much room to grow, and it's just the two of us, and, we're super busy, and we got this showroom that we got at the time we got it because we were doing so much business at the time. And then this car shortage kicked in, so we got this big old room. We were going to fill it up with salespeople. We were doing probably, 30 cars a month, for 4 or 5 months in a row. When he came on, we hit the ground running. Love it, man. It was on and popping. We got another office. We outgrew that office, and we were doing really well, helping people, because that's what we do. We help people, right? There's this line that Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll always have what you need, right? Absolutely. And so we help people, right? We provide a service that helps people save their time and save their money and not have a bad experience, and a lot of people like to compare going to a car dealership as going to the dentist. Nobody really likes to do it. It doesn't mean all car dealerships are bad. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we provide an easier, softer way.
I think, and I was listening to some an actual podcast earlier in the week, and an entrepreneur, I forgot his name. I can't think of his name now, but he said, "Be evangelical in your pursuit of your business," and I love that because I follow that in my business model, and it's just the way Starbucks people line up for coffee, just the way people line up for Apple if they drop, a mouse pad. that's how much people should be invested in your business. But if you're not evangelical in your pursuit, if you're not constantly talking about it, if you're not trying to convert people, if you're not trying to put it in their face, branding, like what you just said, it's not gonna hit, you know? So it's not like, it said something to the effect of, you don't want to act like you're selling somebody, but that you believe in your product. When you believe in something you're selling, you don't have to sell it.
That's it.
And I feel that from both of you, that you're not just selling cars, you're selling an experience, you know, and from the next, this could go on for the rest of your lives, as long as you keep tending to the needs of the business and the evolution of LFG.
Course.
Which you guys are both hungry and thirsty, and I see it in your eyes, man. This is like, I'm getting scared over here. but that brings me to
excited about this stuff. And that's the thing too, is you know, his story with the neighbor. I have a similar story to that too. Is like I moved into to the condo that I bought, and probably a couple of weeks after I moved in, the neighbor shows up with a brand new car. And I don't think I talked to her for probably like 3-4 months. Like I was mad at her, you know. But But the fact, and she's an older lady, very nice lady. And I think the fact is that I talked to her maybe when I moved in, and I told her what I did, but I never really advertised it. You know, I might have told her in passing, but they didn't know what I did. So when she went and bought a new car somewhere else and didn't buy it for me, I was the upset one, you know. And I kept it to myself and didn't say anything to her about it, obviously. But you know, that's the crazy thing, is that we need to advertise ourselves wherever we are. You know, every store that I walk into, you walk into all the stores, you know, around us, you can ask him. I mean, we went out for years, and the first thing I did out of my pocket was when I met someone hand a business card. We'd be at a club at Headliner or something like that. And these guys will be like, look at this idiot just handing out his business cards to everyone. You know?
But it's okay.
That's it.
It's okay.
You know, I want everyone to know I sell cars.
99% are going to be scared to do what the 1% does.
That's right.
You know, and you're doing the 1%. Everywhere I go, I sell fences, I got a podcast. You never know what conversation that could lead to. So why not take the shot?
Of course.
You know what I mean? And again, I see the hunger, so I know that's only going to get bigger and flourish over time. You know, I got these infamous questions, you know, the mastermind questions. It's a reoccurring segment we do here. So I'm going to I'm going to say the questions to each of you guys. Whoever wants to answer first, feel free. I know you were prepped on this, but
he's going to take the book.
Here we go. That's
I'm not a reader.
Well, that's the first question. What book have you read that inspired you the most?
Whoever want to go?
Nah.
And it's okay if you don't read. It's okay if you don't read.
I'm not a reader, but I mean,
maybe it's an article you read.
I'm not a reader, but there was a time in my life where you know, I was at the lowest point in my life, and I picked up the 48 Laws of Power, you know, and that book definitely changed my life in the fact on the way that I go about things, you know. I probably couldn't tell you what the book's about today, but at the time in my life, you know, I read it a couple times, and it helped me out.
It helped you in the moment where you needed to be at.
Gotcha.
100%. Gotcha, man.
And I probably haven't picked up a book since then.
Really?
He gave me a book a couple months ago and told me
you're
to go
too
home and
busy
read it,
hustling.
and it's still in the center console.
There's always time.
There's
10
always
minutes
time.
a day. 10 minutes a day.
That's right.
My wife's a big reader, and she pushes that on me. And you know, I'm not a big reader either. I went to school for English, but I listen. So I'm in the truck, 30 minutes to get to an estimate. I'm gonna listen to something. You know what I mean? So you can make the time for it, but the things you learn, you'll never unlearn if it really impacts you. You know? How about you, Pat?
You know, it's probably, there's two books that I would mention. One of them is the one I gave to him, which I always give. I gave it to Justin. You know, I give it.
Did Justin read it?
Yes. And it's Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a very
great
simple
book.
You know,
Absolutely.
it was the book that really catapulted me into saying, you know what, I'm just not doing it like that anymore. You know, I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to learn how to make money work. You know, and you know, and I'm going to learn how to do it a different way. You know, and I saw people doing all these things and opening businesses and being successful, whether they were friends or not friends. I would see people on TV and be like, why can't I do that? I could, you know, I'm just not, you know, and I read that book and it changed my perspective, you know, on how to approach business, you know, because I had the skills, I had the training, you know, I had ideas. I just didn't know how to execute ideas like we did. Like we executed this, man. It took time and collaboration and we executed. Like it wasn't just an idea. There's a lot of people with a lot of ideas, you know.
We're still fixing and perfecting it.
Yeah,
on a
but
daily
people,
basis.
the difference between what we've done and what generally happens, because I did it for a long time. It's the only reason why I know is I had a lot of ideas for a long time. I just did nothing about it. I just told you about my ideas all the time. It'd be like going to the, wherever, and dude would be like, yo, I got this crazy idea. I'm going to get rich. They never do nothing. You know how many people we all know that just, they talk a lot. They don't do nothing, and that book helped me change that perspective, and in doing that, that was one of the books. And another book I read around the same time was The Alchemist.
Alchemy, yeah.
I love that book by Paulo Coelho, however you say his name. And, it just talks about, following your dreams, and one of the things in there it talks about that I love is it talks about like when you follow your dreams, the universe will conspire to make them happen. And that's kind of what this is all for me. It's a long time of grit and perseverance and ups and downs and successes and failures and life experiences for me to be able to have this freedom that we have now. For me,
a lot of talking about it.
And a lot of talking, a lot of books, a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, all these crazy things I've done for me to be able to have freedom to be a father, right? I have another daughter on the way in 2 months.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So
nice.
I have, and I have 2 step kids. So I have 4 girls now, right?
About
family,
to be, not easy.
right?
I get it.
And so, thank God for the woman in my life because she's a saint, for the work that she does at home, with my kid and her kids, and we have another one on the way, and she's 7 months pregnant, like nothing's going on. She's like killing it,
Where do you say go?
God bless her.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, like I get to have the freedom, right? That's what it's all about. Like I could be making a lot more money, and it doesn't even have to be in the car dealership for me, take my ego out of it. There's a lot of jobs I can get. At this point in my life, I have enough skills and knowledge and experience, and I can go work at a lot of different places. I know I'm employable today.
Yeah.
And the reality is that I get to have the freedom to decide how much money I'm going to make, how I'm going to make it, where I'm going to make it, when I'm going to make it, and who I'm going to do it with. And I've decided that at some point, that this is just the way it's going to be, and it's going to be like this. This is just the way it's going to be because there's no plan B.
No,
this is just what it is. And I get to be home with my kids, and I get to come a little later, and I get to leave a little earlier. And I also, and I come in, on the weekends, or I work from home on the weekends, and, I get to go to the Bronx Zoo, on Thursday, and he gets to be with his girl tomorrow on her birthday. And we get to do those things all while working just as hard as we would be for someone else. We just don't have to be there under their tutelage.
It's the gift of freedom, and when your talent can work together side by side.
Yeah, we always have each other's back. That's just the main thing of it,
What person in your life has brought you the most influence?
I just don't think it's not just one person. I would say my friends.
Your friends?
I would say my friends are a huge part of my success. Huge part of my downfalls too, and the friends that I've had my downfalls with have brought me back up to the successful me. I mean, the 3 of us, we partied for a long time too. We instead of working, we'd go out for 3 days on the weekends and not show up to work on a Monday. But that's the stuff that molded our lives and molded us into the people that we are. When we say it's too hard, one of us says it's not, and it's not just the 3 of us. In my life, I have, I'm blessed to have, I would say probably more friends than the average person, from childhood friends to friends that I've really made relationships with, to people I haven't talked to in 10 years who you continue to talk to and just pick up from where you left off, So I think for me, it's my friends, my family, just my inner circle.
Gotcha.
I would say that's my biggest thing. My girlfriend's a big motivation to me. That's it,
I hear you. No, it makes sense. Yeah, you need a support group.
Of course.
They've been there for you.
But yeah, I don't think it's just one person. I think it's everyone in my life who's helped me up and held me down.
How about you, Patrick?
I talked about earlier having a lot of good teachers. I can go through a list of men and women, that have coached me throughout my life. And it's a toss up between my mom,
my mom too.
Yeah,
and my daughter, Grace.
That's a beautiful name, by the way.
Thank you.
Grace.
And that's really what she is. She's been the grace in my life. That's probably kept me going, all this time to get here, to get where we are, to get where I am. If it wasn't for her, I'm not sure, I'm not sure I'd be here. You know,
you're making me emotional.
Yeah, man, it's just the truth. It's hard. That's how I am, even at our Christmas party, you know, the reality is like, if it wasn't for her, it's been, she's 13, so it hasn't always been, peaches and cream for 13 years. She's gone through it too with me. And through that process, she's become a beautiful little girl and continues to love me more than anybody could possibly love somebody. And, she motivates me every day. So I can, so I want to give her a good life, and I want to be her hero, and, it's been a long journey to get here and do what we're doing. And to have her there with me and by my side and, to continue to encourage me and cheer me on, and then my mom, who's just always been the rock in my life, no matter what it was, I can always call on her. She'd always be there. She's the strength in my whole entire family. She's always been that way. She's the one that's kept it all together. She's literally the glue. I have 2 brothers and a sister and, and my dad and my mom is literally the one that's kept it all together forever.
I mean, that's a good support system for both, from friends to daughter and mother. I mean, with that, forget about it, we crumble. You know what I mean? So I feel you guys both on that. Absolutely. Are there any practical tips you can share that has helped your process in business and life combined? Whoever wants to answer first.
Practical tips. When I can talk about sales jargon for forever, till the end of time. But, when it comes down to it, I really stick to that quote where it talks about not like helping enough people get what they need. You'll always have what you want. I'm sorry, the opposite. Getting enough people get what they want, you always have what you need. Because the reality is that at some point in my life, I started to realize that if I help enough people, I'll always have, enough. And enough doesn't always look like what I think I want. What I want, what I always thought I wanted, because what I think I want and what I want are not always the same. What I think I wanted, what I've always thought I wanted was to have all these nice stuff and big house and all this stuff, right? And I've had all that stuff, man. I've had it and I've lost it and then I've gotten it again, then I've lost it again and I've gotten it back. And that's just been part of the process. And what I realized throughout that process is that the only thing that really matters is love, right? The people around me that continue to believe in me and support me, and family and friends. And as long as I provide a good service, I get to wake up every day and do a job that I provide a service to people on a daily basis, and I give them my all. I use my expertise, my knowledge, my experience, and all the things that I've learned to provide a service to people to buy a car, in a easier, softer way. And I get to use all these things, to help people, and that's really what I believe. That's the cheat code, right? The cheat code is help enough people. You'll always have what you need. Help enough people. Help. Because throughout all of my struggles, I believe that the only reason why I had enough people there to help me was because I had been there when I needed to be there. And God continued to put the right people in their place, So when I was down, I was down. When I was up, I did the best I can to be there for others, And throughout that process, I realized the less you're there to help others, the less help you have when you need it, So because if you're just a taker and a taker and a taker, eventually, dude, you start to tap in. There's insufficient funds.
That's true.
You got to make deposits, spiritual deposits, right?
Absolutely.
Family deposits, friend deposits. You got to make deposits into people's lives. Otherwise, when you go to draw something out, there's nothing there, and
makes a lot of sense.
Besides that, it's, unconditional love from those around you also.
Love and service.
Yeah.
Love and service. And I'm a faith-driven man, and that's one thing I believe in is you got to serve. You're here to serve. And one way I'm serving you guys right now by having you guys here as my guests. I would love to serve you guys and have you here, have everyone hear your story. But I'm also doing it from the love perspective, which he just hit on both of those. So very powerful stuff, man. Very powerful.
Mike didn't get to answer.
Big Mike. No. I was going to Mike. Mike's like,
I don't want him getting off these.
I'm gonna ride on his coattail on that one. He put it perfectly.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah.
I really only have one thing, and it's really just wake up in the morning and do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. That's basically what I go by. I don't necessarily love to sell cars, but I love to help people. Like he said, giving and giving and giving is just something that was ingrained in my morals growing up. You know, my mom and dad, you know, even though we weren't the most well off, you know, I always had everything I wanted, you know, so that was a big thing in my life is just, you know, make sure you have what you need and you can help other people.
Amen, bro. Absolutely.
And I mean, I love that so much because the reality is, dude, I haven't felt like I've worked a day in a long time.
And listen, you're gonna have your off days where it might be harder than others, but you're still thankful that I'm doing what I'm doing for a living. Because, you know, I have had that thought as well, like, wow, the hustle could be real sometimes, but man, I love it.
But that's the thing too, is like, you know, you have your off days, and if, you know, you're at a job, right, and you're not around the people that you love,
it would suck even more.
Nobody pulls you up on your off days.
Yeah.
You know, he walks into the store, I walk into the store, and he sees an attitude on my face, or I see an attitude on his face, and I say, what the fuck's wrong with you? Or, you know, what's on your mind? Or, you know,
let's
do you
talk
need to
about
talk
it,
about something?
Yeah.
You know, and we all do it, you know, and it's
accountability partners.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. What keeps you guys both driven in life?
Each other. Both driven in life. Family.
I mean, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, but
I mean,
it's like a two-pronged question.
Yeah,
but
the biggest thing for me is my family, you know, not letting my family down. Just being a success, you know, and
Absolutely.
Success doesn't mean making a ton of money. Success just means being happy to me. To
Absolutely.
me, success means being happy.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah.
Patrick?
Yeah, you know, it's the self-driven, you know, pursuit of happiness, you know, like
Right.
that's what it is, man. You know, you go a long time. Like, listen, I was making six figures at like 23 years old, you know,
Beast mode.
not to brag, you know, it's just the truth. The truth is the truth, you know, and I've made that probably since then, except for the times where I've fallen and I've come back up and done it again. So like my point is, you know, I've touched seven figures, you know, at times, you know, it's a lot. It didn't mean anything. Absolutely nothing. It got me in more trouble is really what it did, because I didn't understand it nor appreciate it.
You're miserable.
Miserable. Like miserable.
Miserable.
Yeah. And what I learned through all that is that when I wake up every day, when I go to sleep at night, you know, was I a good person today? You know, was I available? Did I answer the phone from my mother? Did I talk to my daughter? You know, like those are the things that I wasn't doing when I had all that money, because the only thing that mattered was what I was doing with that money, you know. And what drives me now is to be a good person, right? To fulfill the roles in my life: a good father, a good son, a good brother, a good friend, you know. And God is above all that.
It's a lot of maturity.
100%.
I mean, you know, they say money doesn't change you, it magnifies who you really are. So for you to have gone through that struggle and now you're on the other side, now you have a maturity level where it's like, no, first of all, I'm blessed. Thank you. And I say that too every day. I'm thank you. I woke up, you know, but how can I serve somebody today? How can I change somebody's life? And how can I use what God has blessed me with to bless others?
Amen. Yep.
You know, and I think that's what you guys are both doing. So it's beautiful. That's a
You
beautiful
know, and we
answer.
give back. Like you saw, you know, that's one of the focuses that, you know, did I jump ahead?
No, you did, but no, we can talk about it. We're here. You had
just-
your first annual toy
Yeah.
drive with Lunch Break, New Jersey. And
Yeah, that was
were
a
at
big
Red
deal,
Bank.
man.
Yeah,
That was a big deal for us. And that was important to me and to him. You know, that was something that I wanted to make sure that we're not just in the community, right? We're not just a store in the community, that we're a part of this community that we do business in with our customers. And we wanted to do something that mattered. You know, and we spoke to Paramount, we spoke to Justin, we spoke to John, you know, and those guys have been, you know, instrumental and close to me all the time. Like he talked about other friends, like, you know, those guys are super close to me. And that's why being a part of it with them, you know, and talking to Scott and his reach in the community and all that stuff, it was just about of like, what can we do to help more people, right? And like how greedy and how selfish it would be for us to just continue to be successful and not do anything to help others. You know, and we did this toy drive and we got tons and tons of toys, man. And we had this great big party at our store.
Craziest outcome that we did.
Yeah, we had
It was
tons
possible.
of people, man, at our store. We had, I don't even know, it
We
was
still have the
50,
Christmas tree
60
up.
people.
Wow.
Yeah, it was tons of people,
Right.
man.
We still have the
Friends,
Christmas tree.
family, you know, I started crying, you know, as usual.
No, it's a blessing.
Yeah, man, it was just, I'm so grateful, like, you know, for the support that we've had from not only our family and friends, but their family and friends who they referred to their family and friends and the community. And so as a result, we try to give back, you know, we've been trying to get a part of this Big Brother program in the area in Red Bank, you know, and they're in the process of going through that so that we can try and be of service to more guys. And, you know, they're talking about bringing some of their people in that, you know, the kids that are in that program to our store so that they can have a tour and they can see what it's like. And, you know, that kind of stuff matters.
Absolutely. You're changing lives,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's something that they're not going to see it now, but as they get older, especially with the Big Brother program, you don't know where that could lead them to. You know, we've always had somebody in our past that inspired us in one way, shape, or form that they don't even know. You know, so you guys are paying it forward. That makes it's more than money, man. It's worth more than money. You know, and you'll see those blessings as you continue. On,
It's funny how you could just see a shift. You know.
Yeah, because like I said, listen, and I think about this oftentimes too. Like, you know, that it'll creep in. Like, man, you sure really want to do this? Like, you know, you can make a lot more money somewhere else. But like how I know I've changed, right, is that like that thought just comes and goes. Because in the past, I would have jumped ship and I would have went because the money would have been the deciding factor. Yeah, that doesn't matter anymore. Listen, I'm going to make money. That's just my story. The truth is I'm going to make money. That's just what I do.
And not all money's good money.
No, trust me, I know.
You know?
Yes.
For real. I mean, and it's just like a moral compass that I have. And, you know, you just got to know when something just doesn't feel right. You know, and trust me, if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you know, it's going to catch up to you.
That's right.
You know, so you do it the right way. Course. Be honorable, be noble, and you know the God will take care of the rest. I'm a big believer in that. You know what I mean? All right. I mean, I don't know. This is like on the list. You guys don't have to answer if you don't want to. Have you ever had any vices, and how did you overcome them?
You want me to start?
Just go for it, man.
I mean, you know, everybody has their vices. Some more than others.
I agree.
In my life, I definitely had vices. You know, drugs were a big part of a part of my story.
Right.
Where I got to overcome that, and you know, I got to move past it. You know, there's a lot of people who have gone through what I've gone through that had to take a different direction than the way I live my life. You know, there's a lot of people that are in recovery. Personally, I'm not in active recovery. I have over 10 years clean from my drug of choice, but I still drink and I still smoke and I still live a normal life. Like I said, those were my vices. And I just overcame it. You know, I had the people in my life were a big part of overcoming that. My family, my mother, my father, and my friends. You know,
support system.
Support system. I would say my vices now are probably, you know, going home and playing Call of Duty, as Pat calls it, getting in the trenches.
That's right. You're in the trenches.
You know, he'll call me and be like, "You good? You in the trenches?" But you know, that's what I do now. Is I like to go home and play video games. I would say big vices in my past were, you know, not only what I just talked about, but like spending money as well. You know, that was a huge part of my life. Making all the money and spending it all. You know, 6-figure income. I spent it before I made it.
Yeah, I agree,
a huge part of my life was, you know, wearing $1,000 shoes and, you know, $1,000 shirts and wearing a Rolex and having big chains and stuff like that. And like these days, like that stuff doesn't even faze me. Like maybe the watches I still love.
I'm a watch collector. I understand.
You know, the watches I still love because they hold value.
Nice
you know,
timepiece.
Thank you. I appreciate that. They build value. But there's like the other things in life where like I want to wear my own gear now. I don't want to wear Louis Vuitton shit. You know, I don't want to do that stuff. I want what's important to me. You know, I want LFG on every single thing that I do.
Evangelical mind state. Yeah,
that's it. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
And that's I think that's where you get the change, and that's where you see the change, and that's where you start to move in a different direction. So that was a big part of my vices was spending all my money and buying shit and being flashy. And you know, I still like to be flashy, but I like to be flashy in other ways. I think the biggest thing to that was a manager in the car business once told me I didn't have any bills. And he told me, he said, get some fucking bills and you'll be responsible.
You'll be responsible. Yeah,
He
you're
can
right.
tell you who that was. He can tell you who that was. Mike Diallo said that to me. He said, get some fucking bills. Go
Like,
buy a house. Go have some kids. Go buy a couple cars. Go get some bills. And
Get some assets.
And you'll always, not even assets. He didn't even give a fuck about assets. He wanted you to have debt.
Yeah,
Wow.
Because
that's
the more debt you had, the more money you made for yourself and the more money you made for the company and, so on and so on.
No pressure, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, pressure.
It was a lot of pressure, but like that was a big thing to me is like before I had the bills and before I had the stuff that I have responsibilities to, I spent my money on pretty much anything that came across me, literally anything. So,
Right.
that was my biggest vice. I would say in the last couple of years, it's money and spending money and stuff like that until you get grounded and,
And you work through it.
Start to, I wouldn't say I wasn't responsible then because I was still responsible, but I should have been saving and should have been, more responsible than I was.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I'm in recovery. That's how I know those guys. That's how I, and it's been a journey for me, ups and downs. Partying was a big part of my life for a long time, and at some point, being a father and, being in those roles that I discussed, needed to be paramount over everything else, and thank God for, having good people around me and having friends that stood by me, these guys and Justin and John, other guys like Mike Waters,
Right.
I can go down a list of people and regardless of who I name, people are going to get left off, so
But they know that they made the
but they
change.
know, like
Yeah.
my cousin, Erica, she's a big part of my life. And the reality is like, my story of failures is as big, if not bigger than my successes. But the reality is that now I've turned a page and things have gotten better, and if it wasn't for all those things, I wouldn't be where I am today. It's played a major part in who I am as a person, as a major part in me becoming a father again in 2 months of the father that I want to be, the father that I get to be, the father that I get to be to my daughter now, and those vices, I'm just glad, what they say is like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Absolutely.
And that's literally the story of my life. I'm glad and I'm grateful, thank God I'm here, and I've gotten to get through those things to where I am today because, it didn't always look like this, man. It really didn't. It didn't always look like this. And I wasn't always this mature, and I'm not always this mature all the time, but I wasn't this grown for a long time, man.
But again, it's evolution, right? You're evolving every day. You're not, Jay-Z said once, you expect me to come this far and not change.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. It's
And
impossible.
come this far, only come this far.
Yeah. You gotta make changes that are positive along the way. And that will affect your life and everybody around it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what you guys are doing, Let's see here. What does the next level of success in your life look like?
I think just to keep building on our business, we're at a great place in our business right now. Got the world ahead of us.
There we go. How about you, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I'm, John and Justin talked about us sitting there at the table, when I sat there with them. Like, that's the kind of stuff I live for, man. Like,
You like collaborating?
man, I love the
ideas.
grind. I love to start stuff. Like,
We have
I'm
10 or
already,
15 business ideas a week.
I'm already 2 or 3 steps down the road from where we're at now,
Nice.
in my head. And I've been starting to put it on paper and, it's happening. We're already in the midst of doing something else pretty
Nice.
big and, and I'm excited about it and it's coming. And that only
wanna
comes
break it
as a
here?
result. No. And as a result, because
Exactly.
we got a lot of work to do.
Of course.
It's just in the midst, right? Like there's a lot of work to do. And just like I sat down with Justin and John, and listen, man, they give me a lot more props than I deserve for that. I just sat there and I just kind of put them together in the middle. And they helped me a lot more than I helped them. And they'll never understand that. And they don't accept that, but that's the truth. Because that is what makes me better. That's what I thrive for. That's what I live for, is to sit there and take what I know and help you, right? It's the same thing that I was talking about before. It's just about helping more people. When I go into Paramount right now, I'm like, wow, wow. This started with us sitting down at a table. You guys had this idea. And I was like, well, why can't we do it, right? Like, why can't you do it? Let me show you what to do. I have experience with this. Let me show you. Blah, 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 blah. And I start doing my,
The artistry.
That's it, man. Now I walk into Paramount, it's like, wow, you know? And I didn't do that. I just helped them connect the dots, you know? And I live for that. And so as a result, from that, I learned. Helping them build that, I learned like, more, you know? I got to use what I knew and I learned more on how to help us learn and to do the next thing and to do the next thing after that. So, you know, the level of success, what it looks like is it looks like us just continuing to grow and not stay stagnant, you know, because I believe that if you're not like, you know, it's like riding a bike. If you're, you know, riding a bike up a hill, and if I stop pedaling, I'm going to go backwards. And that's in all areas of my life. You know, it's got to be constant growth and evolution, like you talked about. And like, you know, part of my role in our relationship is to be that guy, you know, is to be that guy that's constantly kind of like, let's go, you know, leading. And like, listen, man, without him, I'm not all that, you know. I need him by my side to do what I do, to bounce things off, to hear my crazy, you know, to help me weed through my crazy, and to believe in me, and for us to do it together. And that's what we do. You know, we play our roles, we play them well, like Stockton and Malone kind of thing, you know, the pick and roll.
Yeah.
You know, that's just what it is, you know. And there's days where I've sat there in our deal, you know, in our place, and, you know, and been like, man, you know, in the beginning, man, could I have done this by myself, you know, because I go places, bro, you know, and then like through maturity and evolution and growth of the pod to the point where I'm at today, where like I truly believe like it wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be possible to be where we're at. LFG Auto would not be what it is if it wasn't for him and, you know, for us. You know,
might have our own separate leasing companies, but it would never be where we are and what the vision we have for this business would be. And that's the biggest thing, is the vision we have for this business. It's so much bigger than being a broker and a leasing company and you know, everything like that. You know, I think the, you know, biggest thing is, you know, LFG the brand. You know, LFG the brand, that's a household fucking name.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. Is we want everyone in the world says it. We want everyone to associate that with us. You know,
that's where the marketing and branding and the again, like the building that cult.
That's why we're at a 10.
It becomes synonymous. Yeah.
We have so much growth.
And it's good to feel that way. Like, you know, we all have successes in our lives, or, you know, things that we kind of, you know, we reach a pinnacle or something, and, you know, you celebrate for 1 second and it's right back to the grind.
That's it.
Because if you get stuck in the celebration mode, you'll never advance.
I celebrated enough, bro.
Yeah.
Listen, I celebrated for plenty when I didn't have it. I celebrated when I did have it. Don't have it anymore. Now it's time to grow up, you know, and play those roles, man. We had enough fun.
There we go. No, real talk.
That's how I feel. I celebrated for like 4 lifetimes.
Yeah, man.
It's time to get serious.
That's it, you know.
Last question, guys. What's the last thing you bought that changed your life? You guys have some of the best facial like reactions. Like,
I know, we got us on camera too.
This is episode 11, bro. No one makes the faces you guys make. I'm just like, oh wow. You got me thinking I'm like Oprah here with these questions. Like, oh snap.
I mean, the last thing I bought that changed my life.
Whoever can think of the answer first, go ahead.
Oh, I thought I was waiting on him.
Oh, no.
If you got something, go. Because I
mean, the reality, you know, what changed my life was the day that we bought, you know, that we paid for our LLC.
Okay. Fire.
Completely changed my life.
I was thinking that, but I was hoping one of you guys would say that.
And because it was like $180 to register the LLC in New Jersey, you know? And I knew when I applied, and I could have did it myself, because, you know, I still think that I could do it better. Now I know that I could just call my accountant, he could do it, but I still had to learn, you know what I'm saying? But when we registered LFG Auto, you know, and started like, and we had this tax ID, and I was able to say, we are LFG Auto LLC, you know? And then I don't know how we came up with it, but somehow like LFG Auto, and it makes sense, Lease Finance Group, like,
yeah, it makes sense.
That was like a culmination of our group chat and all this stuff. But it somehow just all came together, you know? And then just as a personal thing, like, you know, my 2 stepkids, right? And my daughter is LFG, Lily Farrah Grace. You know, right? And that was like
I got 2 of the 3.
that all just came, and he's got you know, and so it just all came together, man.
Magic moment.
Like this. Listen, when you, it's what I talked about before. Like when you follow your dreams, the universe conspires to make it happen.
Yeah,
it's just what's happening, man.
That's it. And you're just being present in the moment.
That's it. I just show up every day and do my job.
Show up every day. Absolutely. Yeah. Mike, you found anything, or you're gonna ride off that?
I'm gonna ride off that. I mean, listen, I've bought a lot of things in my life. I mean, you know, he's right. I mean, that changed our life. You know, getting into this business gave us the freedom to do what we wanted to do. And I think that was a huge step in the right direction. You know, that definitely, I'm going to ride off your coattails on that.
Bam.
That was, you know, definitely. We bought cars, we bought houses, we bought, you know, since then, you know, and that's definitely a big thing.
Beautiful, guys. Beautiful story. I mean, I think we pretty much hit on every point. I mean, you guys.
Yeah, we probably went overtime.
No, it's all good, bro. It's part of the process, man. I mean,
Mike
good.
thought he wasn't going to be able to talk.
Yeah, Mike, you crushed it, bro. Is there anything you guys want to?
For a lot of years.
Is there anything you guys want to add, or promote, or talk about? I mean, the floor is yours to wrap it up.
I mean, listen, I'm really thanks for having us.
Thank you for being
like
here.
for real.
Appreciate both.
You know,
man.
the way it came together. You know what's cool? Like, you know what I was thinking too? Like so we saw Justin and John on, I was like, damn, that's cool. Like that stuff. Because that's what it's about, right? It's about collaborating, it's about meeting new people, it's about networking, it's about supporting other people, it's supporting everybody else's hustle. There's too much hate going on, right? There's too much like people taking themselves too serious. Social media and everybody thinks that, listen, man, I just want to meet good people and have fun. Like this is a blast.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I watched Scott come on here, had a blast.
Yeah.
Enjoyed watching it, right? Watch some of the other ones that you did, bro. It's cool.
Thank you.
Now I'm a fan now.
Thank
you know what I'm saying? Like that's what's up.
And
I respect your hustle for doing what you do. You know, starting from you don't know how many people. You might have 10 followers to 11 to 50, like it, and then it grows from there.
Growing,
bro,
man.
This is cool, right? This is a good time, you know, and like I appreciate that. And I appreciate your hustle for putting this together and yours as well. Absolutely. You know, like this and the behind the scenes guy, you know, it's just like this stuff is real, right? And this is what it's all about for me, you know, like this is like people supporting each other because there's too much hate going on, right? There's too many. Oh man, look at you know what happens, bro? You start to do good and then people start to hate, right? And listen, I used to be one of those guys that's posting like, oh man, all these haters. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't really care about that stuff anymore. Reality is like I just want to keep doing good with the people around me, right? Like it's good to do good, better when your people do it with you, right?
Absolutely.
And what my point is like it's just cool to be a part of something that's cool. You know, and I'm glad that like what I started with was I reached out to you.
Well, we're gonna get LFG on.
Yeah,
and
right.
I was shocked because I was like, wait a minute, I thought he was too cool.
Right.
And again,
that's what's up.
Shame on me for for judging you wrong, right? But
that's all right.
I love that.
But remember, I come from the he knows we did music. That's a whole different world.
Right.
The egos in music.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, LFG, these guys are killing it. He doesn't want to come on my pod.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? But it's
how about
dope.
this whole week how nervous I was to come.
But that's what's up,
I've been
right?
in front of the camera for years in the car business and doing everything else I do and
but that's
I'm like, what
that's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like that pride. Because at first I'm like, man, I'm gonna wait for him to ask me. You know,
because we don't know any better.
That lasted a few minutes. I was like, bro, you're not that guy anymore. You've changed, you know, and who the hell do you think you are? You're gonna wait for him to invite you.
Yeah.
Right. The reality is like, yo, he's doing something cool. I want to be a part of it.
And I'm thankful for that because I always tell everybody on this pod, I only invite people on here that I feel that I can mess with and I have a genuine connection with. So I don't like to do things that aren't organic.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hit me up, I was like, okay, this feels right. And it felt right since they were praising you guys when Paramount came on. So I already had that in the back of my mind. But again, I don't bring anybody on here that I wouldn't mess with the cameras off.
Right.
And you guys, like, now you know, LFG, yo, hit them up. You know what I mean? Yo, I need help with this. Oh, yo, I need a fence, whatever. We're all here to help each other.
That's
you know what I'm saying? So like, that's why I love about this platform. It's not just about telling your story. That's 90% of it because I do want somebody to hear this, to get inspired and to get off their butt and do something that they are destined to do. That's part one. Part two is the connection that we're having.
Yeah.
And the, like just the synergy. You know, that's where great ideas come from. That's where great friendships come from. And that's where greatness in general comes from. So that's why I built the podcast, because there's too many people that, again, I was told, oh, he's a salesman, he can sell anything. No, I'm an artist, bro.
I like that.
I'm an artist. I make art. Can you make art? Because you go try to sell somebody something, they have no idea what they want. So, and it's a good friend of mine that actually inspired me to do this podcast. He has no idea, because all he did was jokingly say, oh, you got to talk to Lou. He's a salesman. No, I'm not.
That's right.
I'm an artist, and you guys are artists. So this is why the platform is here.
Cool.
Appreciate
You know?
that. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is good stuff, man.
Brothers, I appreciate your time. Do you want to plug your Instagram, your social medias, your Facebooks, your website?
Yeah, sure. You can find us at LFG Auto. LFGauto.com. What else we got?
Listen, man, that's it. LFGauto.com, you know, at LFG Auto on our Instagram. You know, give us a call if you need help. You want to buy a car, you want to sell a car, you know somebody that wants to, call us, we'll help you. And even if we can't help you, we'll lead you to somebody who can. You know, that's another thing. You can't always handle it yourself, because sometimes you got to pass the buck, you know?
Of course.
That's part of being humble.
Absolutely. And pass along if you can. I hear you 100%. Happens in my business all the time.
Absolutely.
You know? Well, guys, there you have it. LFG Auto Group, Patrick Dougherty and Mike Fein. And again, you have been listening to episode 0011 of I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman podcast. If this podcast inspired or moved you to follow your dreams or aspirations, please subscribe to our Apple, Spotify, and YouTube platforms by typing in Luis Guzman, I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman, and clicking that subscribe button. Please make sure to follow my Instagram handle at Luis Guzman2444 for further content and updates. I am thankful for every listener, and I pray you have a blessed one, not a stressed one. Peace and love.
I'll be in outer space. Sometimes it's just a throwaway, but either way, I never go away. Through rejections and comments suggested, you stay manifested. I never lose a step. I gain about 50. I break through the wall steadily and quite swiftly. You can't break my spirit. I'm a self-starter. Don't ever let me go. Passion, I need you, mama. Don't ever go.
I need you by my side. Without you, I would die. If there's no you, I don't have hell. I need you more than life itself. Don't ever go. No, baby, no, baby. No, baby, no, baby. Don't ever go. No, baby, no.
Don't ever go. Never go astray. And if you go AWOL, I'll never be the same. The love of a woman is the strength of a man. Keeps me on my toes, defines who I am. My soulmate, checkmate, no more playing. I'm thinking like a grown-up. Mommy, I'ma own up to the mistakes that I done in the past. Blame my mind, not my heart, cause I never use that. All these other chicks, they just wanna get close to me, cause they see me as a ticket, I'm the lottery. And I can change their life, but I'd rather not, cause I got my wife, and she's rather hot. And they rather opt to be on my jock, but I got common sense, I don't need a flock. All these birds mad cause they ain't got a nest, but I will never leave you, mommy, cause you are the best.
Don't ever go. I need you by my side. Without you, I would die. If there's no you, I don't have hell. I need you more than life itself. Don't ever go. Don't ever go. No, baby, no, baby. No, baby, no, baby.
Never leave, baby.
No, baby.
I got you.
Don't ever go.
Never disappear. I love you, my dear. Am I being clear? Don't become a trend. Learn to reinvent. I'm your number one apprentice. I'm learning to accept the changes you occurred. Your speech has slurred, but I'ma bring it back to square one. That's my word. With a little twist. My thoughts are outrageous, but you can be my miss. We're each advantageous to one another. I reach for your love. Sometimes I get, cause I know you're building trust. When your tough love combined, it's harder to intertwine. Ideas that I have to make us one of a kind, but I will never quit as long as you don't leave. I wear my heart on my sleeve until you make it bleed. Cause if you choose to vanish, I would have to ask myself why I struggled and never took you for granted.
Don't ever go. I need you by my side.